Hello. Hey guys, this is Ivy and welcome back to my channel, Ivy Choo Choo Train. Recently, some people have been asking me about my experiences studying in Japan. So where did I apply? How did I apply? The whole process and stuff. That is why I've come up with 5 tips for you guys, for those who want to come to study in Japan. And I hope you guys find this helpful. So first things first, you gotta ask yourself if you speak Japanese or not. If you do speak Japanese, you obviously have a lot more options than those who don't, but even if you don't speak Japanese, don't worry, because there are many schools in Japan that offer English programs, so you need 0 Japanese to apply to these schools. You get your Waseda, Keio University, Tokyo University, Sophia University, all those big names, but of course every prefecture also has local schools that offer full English programs, and these schools are increasing by every year. Of course, since I graduated from APU, which is the Asia Pacific Ritsumeikan University here in Japan, I highly recommend this school because not only do you need 0 Japanese to enter this school, this school also offers you Japanese lessons. So during your first year, you're required to take 5 hours of Japanese lessons per day. And I think it's 4 days a week, I believe, and it goes on for 2 semesters. So it drives up your Japanese skills very, very fast. If you go to a school like APU, you'd be able to take your normal university lessons alongside Japanese language lessons. So you won't have to go to like a language school for a year like a lot of students do. So that is also an option for you if you want to come to study in Japan. Second tip is to get your certificates ready. So if you don't speak Japanese, what are some other skill sets that you can bring to the table? Be it Chinese, English, Korean, Spanish, or whatever, make sure you get a score report for that, so like a proficiency test. So for example, you speak English, then make sure you take other internationally known proficiency tests like TOEIC, TOEFL, IELTS, and stuff like that. And if you speak Japanese, even if it's just a little bit, enough to pass N4 and N5 of JLPT, make sure you take that as well. When I was applying to APU, my school here in Japan, I not only included my Taiwanese college entrance exam scores, which is 学测 or 指考 for Taiwanese students, I also took the SATs, just so my school could have another number to reference to when evaluating my skills. Sometimes these international tests can be kind of pricey, but trust me, it is very much worth it to have your school or university have a concrete number to reference to. Third tip, and in my opinion is a pretty important thing to know, is to take advantage of scholarships in Japan. Since tuition in Japan can be pretty high, plus the living costs, all of this added up will rack up to a pretty hefty price. Luckily, Japan offers a lot of different scholarships for international students here, including tuition reduction to up to 100%, at least in the case of APU, or a lot of government scholarships, such as this thing called JASO, which offers students, I think, up to 40,000 yen each month, which is around $400. Different prefectures in Japan will also have these local scholarships that they provide to international students, so make sure you do your research and frequently check the school website after you start school. Depending on who is funding the scholarship, some of these scholarships will have very detailed requirements. For example, you have to be from like a certain European country, so you have to be Southeast Asian. They have a lot of different requirements. But don't worry, you will definitely find one that you fully qualify for. So remember to get that scholarship and support your student life, okay? Fourth tip is to be very, very aware of deadlines. Of course, no one in their right mind would dare risk, missing a deadline when applying to a university. But when it comes to Japanese schools and organizations, you have to be extra careful. If you're late even for 1 minute or 30 seconds, you're out. I'm not even kidding. I've seen this happen so many times back in university. If you're late for 1 minute, you're out. So as you may already know, Japanese people or organizations are very precise, they're very detailed, they're very careful about everything. But this can also mean that they are sometimes kind of inefficient. So when you're sending in information, when you're sending in like your applications to Japanese schools, don't, of course, like definitely do not leave it until the last day or even the last week. In my experience, I would advise sending in your stuff at least a week and a half before the deadline. Just make sure that thing is there, like way before the deadline. And finally, one last tip, no, you don't have to come to Tokyo. Because when I was applying for APU, I was really bothered by the fact that it was not in Tokyo and it was actually in like a small town in Kyushu called Beppu. I was like, where am I going to go on the weekends? Where am I going to shop? Where am I going to drink? Where am I going to eat? How am I going to make friends? What am I going to do? But after spending 4 years in the little town of Beppu, Oita, I realized that if you wanted to experience real Japan, then countryside is the place to be. You get to experience the local markets and local people, and generally speaking, just the warmth and realness of Japan that you can only experience outside of the cities. And also, people from the countryside, like in more rural areas of Japan, they tend to speak less English. So this is a good chance. It forces you to use Japanese, and in turn, you'll learn Japanese faster. So that is a good thing. Another thing is that I probably wouldn't have done much studying if my school was in like a big city like Tokyo or something. So I'm kind of grateful for the fact that APU was in a small town. So when you're looking for schools in Japan, don't limit yourself to big cities. Search for schools outside of Tokyo and Osaka. I promise you will not regret the experience. So anyways, these are my 5 tips on how to apply for a Japanese university. First thing to get out of the way with is to ask yourself if you speak Japanese or not, because that narrows down your choices of schools a bit. Second is to get those certificates ready. This is very, very important. Thirdly is to take advantage of scholarships, okay? Get that money and support your student life. Fourth is to be very, very careful of deadlines. And finally, my final tip is to not limit yourself to big cities. One very useful website for both future students and students that are studying in Japan right now is the JASO website. JASO stands for Japan Student Services Organization. So they have both English and Japanese version of this website, and they have very detailed information on their website about each school and whether or not they provide English programs and details of each program. So if you're looking for a school, make sure you check out that website. I'll link the website down below in the description. I hope you guys liked my video. If you guys have any questions about studying in Japan or the process or anything else, please don't hesitate to comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel before you go. I'll see you guys in the next video.